These are the top symptoms business leaders bring to my doorstep. Each traces back to the same fixable problem, and it's costing you growth. We're rolling it out, no one's using it. My team says they get it. 6 weeks later, half are doing it the old way. And last, every initiative competes with every other one. Nothing finishes. If any of that sounds familiar, what you're missing is a structured change program. In this episode, we're going to walk through the Change Charter that will help you turn your list of pending changes into a leadership-led discipline that actually sticks. Hi, I'm Summer, founder of Driven Connection, and we eliminate inefficiencies that stunt growth. To make sure we're speaking the same language, let's start with what change management is and what it isn't. Change management is the structured discipline of getting your team to actually adopt what you build. It works on two levels. First, it's a cultural baseline. Your organization treats change as part of how it operates before any specific project is on the table. Second, it's a project-level initiative. Every rollout gets its own change program running alongside it, with the same milestones and the same leadership accountability as the project itself. Most leaders don't do either. They run the project, train the team, assume adoption follows, and then bring in change support to clean it up when it doesn't. Build both, and adoption is a natural outcome of how the organization operates. The team expects change. They already know how to absorb it. I'm Prosci certified. Their model, ADKAR, names the 5 things every person moves through for change to stick. Awareness. Do they know why in a language that they understand? Desire. Do they want to do it? This is the most that leaders skip past even after announcing training all day. Knowledge. Do they have the information and the skills? Ability. Can they apply it on a Tuesday morning? And last, reinforcement. Is anyone still talking about it 90 days later? Skip one and the rollout breaks down. The data tells the same story. Organizations with excellent change management are 7 times more likely to meet their stated objectives. The difference between growth that compounds in the business and growth that only shows up in a board update. The charter is how you close that gap. Let me show you what this looks like at scale. A handful of years ago, I led the change side of 2 of the largest enterprise initiatives at a supply chain company that they had in flight at once. The first was a bleeding-edge AI-powered forecasting platform. The second, a new enterprise project management program, built as the proof of concept for every future global rollout the company would run. The teams are doing 3 things at once: operating in their existing system, standing up and building a new platform side along that, and rolling out global blueprints across multiple time zones, so the transformation kept moving region by region. 450 plus people moved through tailored training while cutovers landed in parallel. The technical risk was never the issue. Both teams had their builds in hand. The real risk was change saturation. One population absorbing 2 unrelated enterprise systems and regional cutovers of new ways of working all at the same time. So I built one change discipline to serve all of it. Same parallel program logic applied to each system and then regional rollout. By the end of the inaugural phase, the platform was running the work it was designed for, and the project management program became the operating spine for every rollout after. The lesson? When a business absorbs multiple disparate changes at once, the constraint is population capacity. Build to match it, and the transformation lands in parallel pieces. You are trying to answer one question: why does change fail? 4 patterns explain almost every case. 1. Human biology works against you. The brain registers uncertainty as a threat, and the same response evolved for physical danger. When you announce a change, your team's reaction is structural. Most people absorb it in silence. Most leaders read it as resistance. 2, you're treating change as a project activity, not a discipline. Integrate change management is the rigor of project management, and your projects succeed 47% more of the time. Without it, success drops to 30%. Same project, parallel program, failure rate cut by 1/3. 3. Your leadership team isn't prioritizing. Every initiative carries equal weight, so none receives the focus it needs to land. Leaders say they're good with change. Their teams don't agree. The gap shows up as resistance, but the underlying cause is a leadership decision to skip the prioritization conversation. 4. The discipline doesn't get time. Operational urgency wins every quarter. LinkedIn's 2024 workforce survey found 64% of professionals overwhelmed by how fast everything is changing. "We'll do this after the next push" is the most expensive sentence in your business, and the pushes, they never end. The discipline has to be cultural, built into your operating cadence, or it gets traded away every Monday morning. These 4 causes compound. Time hides prioritization. Prioritization hides discipline. Discipline makes biology feel personal when the cause is structural. Address prioritization at your leadership table and the rest unwinds. Here's the move that separates leaders who make change stick from leaders who keep retrying the same launch. When something isn't sticking, the reflex is more communication. That rarely actually works though. Diagnose the stuck point before adding the system. Use those same 5 questions on the group that isn't adopting. Do they understand why? Do they want to do it? Do they know how? Can they fit it into their daily work? Is anyone still reinforcing it, or has the project sponsor moved on? The lowest scoring answer is your barrier point. That's where leadership attention needs to go right away. Most leaders default to, "We need to communicate it more." Sometimes that's right. Most of the time, the diagnostic surfaces something else. If your team understands the change but doesn't want it, more communication is going to make it worse. They need involvement in the design. If they want it but don't know how, they need role-specific training that they can practice on a Tuesday morning. If they know how but can't fit it in, you have a capacity problem at the leadership table. Try this with one frontline manager this week. Ask them, on this change, are they understanding it, wanting it, knowing how and able to fit it in, or losing it because no one is reinforcing it? Pick the weakest link, then meet them where they're at. The research shows that proactively managing resistance prevents 41% of the resistance you'd otherwise fight. That's the difference between a launch to celebrate and one you spend the next quarter rescuing. The same charter discipline works at every scale. Case 1. Before the supply chain story, I was leading projects at a regional credit union. 25,000 members. Over 2 years, we stood up 4 to 5 major systems back to back, all serving the same employee and member population. There was no way to absorb that without a company-wide change program, so we built one. The framing made the difference. Every change ran under the same banner. We were in this together. We built in moments to show gratitude, celebrate wins, and make change feel like something the team owned. The discipline made an aggressive 2-year transformation survivable because the culture absorbed change instead of resisting it. Case 2. A different industry from the public business playbook. When Adobe moved Creative Suite to a subscription-based Creative Cloud, the technology side was the small part. The harder work was the leadership-led, bringing sales, customer success, marketing, finance, and product through the same transition together across years. The pattern is the same one that makes the charter work: a defined cadence at the leadership table, named owners across function, and reinforcement long after the technical launch is over. The discipline scales when you build it into how the business operates across industries, across teams, across years. What scales is structure. Cadence at your leadership table, ownership of change as a discipline separate from project delivery. A weekly leadership-led ranking at your scale outperforms a quarterly steering committee at a Fortune 500 company. Here's how to bring that into your business this week. Here is the change charter. 4 simple steps to get you moving this week. Any business leader can run this in their leadership team in a single meeting or any list of pending changes. The hardest step is the 3rd one. Why? Most leadership teams can list changes, they can score them on a whiteboard. Where teams fall apart is the moment a leader has to write their name next to change and accept the cadence. Expect resistance there. Plan for it. 1. Bring the list to the meeting. Every active and proposed change consolidated onto one page. The legwork of building that list is your pre-meeting input. That meeting itself is for ranking. 2. Score the list together. Pick a simple rubric. Impact times capacity times readiness. Score each item in the room with debate. You want a ranked list every leader can put their hands on. Collective ownership is the win. 3. Assign owner, sponsor, and cadence to each ranked change. Owner is the person doing the work. Sponsor is the leader who publicly says it matters. In 2 sentences, they'll want to repeat in every room. This change matters to me. If you're stuck, bring it to my attention. Cadence is the rhythm of accountability, bi-weekly or monthly. Names and dates against every item with no exception is how this list will become system-led. 4. Reinforce at the next charter meeting. One by one, read last cycle's progress, close items that landed, surface ones that stalled before they fester. Sponsors who show up matter more than the slides that look good. That's the charter. Bring the list, score it with your leadership team, assign owners, sponsors, and cadence to each prioritized item, and reinforce at the next cycle. Run it consistently, and it becomes a permanent operating discipline in your business. The change problem that used to feel cultural is now a structural inefficiency that you've eliminated. Change is only getting harder, and the pace keeps climbing. Your team's capacity to absorb the next initiative is finite. Think back to the symptoms at the top of the episode. The rollout no one is using. The team that says that they get it, but doesn't change their behavior. The initiative competing for air with every other one. The charter is what stops that pattern from repeating. It moves the leadership conversation from who's resisting to what are we ranking. That's where the cultural shift starts. You're learning, you're growing, and you're building a system-led change discipline where change moves at the speed of leadership commitment. I'm your host, Summer Ames Prodan. We'll fix another inefficiency on the next episode of Driven Growth.